Okay, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Cal, please call the roll.
Christine Arnold. Here. Ben Catanzaro.
Here.
Priscilla Pertella.
Here.
Eric Dye. Robert Dyer.
Here.
Robert Hiscock.
Here.
Najee Boucher.
Here.
Roxanne Valancourt.
Okay, we have
Here.
a quorum.
So everyone's here but Eric, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the first hour of this meeting is devoted to budget. Michael, it's all you.
Thank you. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint on the screen that's in your packet. There are no questions remaining from the last meeting, but there are some significant changes. So I'd like to first bring you to page 4, which is recent budget recommendations. Just as a quick review, on February 24th, our first budget workshop, we came in at 0.75% increase. As I've said, and as this board knows, and I hope the community is starting to become aware of it, I was very clear it's a process that we have to keep going through with staffing reductions or additions, with budget changes, because our budget numbers are numbers we have to plug in earlier than most towns because we're regional. We have to be done by May instead of July, so we're still negotiating. On May 10th, we went up because we had 2 outplaced students for 1.42. Our final recommendation to the board at this point is a decrease from our initial and our last 2 to 0.5%. As you know, a couple months ago, we hired a new broker for our health care insurance, and we're very happy. They came in with a significant reduction for us. We were able to reduce some of our legal services, our utilities, because of our upgrades in technology. At this point, we're at 0.5%. So I think it's a great budget number that we've kind of settled in at, and I anticipate that to be our final number. And it's not a skeleton budget by any means, nor is it a number that we're depriving our students or our staff of anything that we thought were things we needed to have the best possible learning environment. What's even more promising is our next page, proposed staffing reductions. We did receive another retirement that will be on the board agenda for March 31st. So the number of teachers that we reduce will change. As of right now, the changes to our last 2 staffing reductions is I'm proposing we reduce our personal learning advisory, which people are calling your internship coordinator, from full-time to part-time. That way, the initial position that was created and hired for, which was a part-time internship, we go back to that position. It's only going to be 1 teacher that we're going to reduce because we picked up 2 retirements. And if you remember, we hired 3 teachers for COVID to reduce class sizes. We're only going to eliminate 1 of those positions, so we'll keep our numbers at a great place. I'm recommending, you know, we've talked a lot at this board about social emotional learning, the needs of our kids. We've heard from the community. So I'm recommending we do not cut our school counselor, which was a guidance counselor position at PES. I would like us to bring that position back. So that is not going to be a cut that I'm proposing today. And the history teacher and the Spanish teacher are vacant positions, so they're not actually teacher reductions. So in actuality, it's 1 position at Laurel Ledge, and that's just because of student numbers within the building. And it's a internship position from a full-time to a part-time position, which it was for 2 years when we initially created the position. So we actually have 4 retirements this year: Dawn Riley, Ross Cooper, Kevin Sayre, and 1 more elementary teacher that's coming in at our next meeting. So I'm pretty happy about the staffing reductions. As usual, it's a process we go through, and who knows, by the time we're done with this in June, there may not be any teaching positions, because I do anticipate maybe 1 or 2 more retirements at that point. As far as revenues, and this is really a bigger page for the town, the last page, page 8, Beacon Falls started out At our last meeting, they were at a negative 500,000, they're close to 650,000 at this point. Prospect was well over $1 million. They're at an addition of $800,000. So I think as a whole, the budget is stronger with less reductions, and we've come down a little bit to 0.5%. I met with the principals, the main principals, was it yesterday?
Yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning. Days kind of run together now. And I said to them after we went through end of the year stuff and next year, we just needed to really come together and talk about some things intimately. There were 6 of us. And I did say, is there anything you need right now that we have cut out of your budget for next year, or that you think you need, that we've taken out or haven't heard you? And they honestly said no. The only thing they wanted was a book for their staff. We have a big push for inclusion next year, so that our special ed kids are with our regular ed kids. And there's a great book that Regina Merzak actually was reading with her staff, and Derek and Sarah Steinberg wanted to do at Long River. We decided to purchase the book for every school. It's less than $4,000, so we're gonna buy that book for all the staff members. But other than that, they said, and I say with all sincerity, there wasn't anything that was cut out that they wanted that we didn't put in. So I'm pretty confident that this is my budget and administrator's proposal of a 0.5% with the staffing recommendations that are in it. That's really my presentation tonight. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. Tony, Michelle, I don't know if you have any input. If you have something you want to add, feel free. And then Priscilla, the board. Online or here, whoever wants to add anything, feel free.
It'd be Karen.
I think just to note that basically what you said about the administrators, meeting with the administrators, and make sure they feel comfortable with what they have for next year and not.
I asked them that question because I know Bob Hiscock does that to me every time, just as we're getting ready to end. Hey, what do you want that Michael's cut out? That's usually the question. So I asked it for you yesterday, Bob. I did. So I asked it, and they said they're pretty good. They wanted a book, so we're going to buy the book.
While we're online anyways, I'll ask the staff too. If somebody forgot something, let us know ASAP.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
This doesn't go until May
Right.
3rd, so we do have time if we need to.
All right, I do have a comment. I'm very pleased with the way the budget's shaking out, and I want the public to know that this Board of Ed listens to what you say. You were concerned about a program, the career internship program, and that being eliminated, and that turned out to be misinformation to start with. It's still there. But more importantly, I think the thing that the board has to wrestle with is the putting the school counselor position back. That clearly is being influenced by public input. It's something that the parents are telling us that their students need, and I hope the board's going to support that position going back in.
Thank you, Bob.
Because I think it's a good move for the community, and we'll see how it goes, and hopefully it'll work out for everybody. But again, I really appreciate the fact that the public has offered input into this budget. After 10, 11 years on the board, we had more feedback on this budget than any other budget that I've been involved with. So clearly to the public, I say thank you.
All right, let's go to the regular meeting now.
Any board members?
Go
ahead.
Sure.
This is Christine. So the counselor position is staying in there, but it's going from full-time to part-time,
No,
correct?
no, incorrect. The counselor position, the guidance counselor, it's called school counselor, I say guidance counselor, I can't get it out of my head, it's called counselor, is not being cut at all. Christine, we're keeping that position, it was the one at
No, I
PD.
understand that. But
Okay,
career-
the internship position, which is personal advisory position, is going from full-time to part-time so that they can do the internships and keep that a vibrant program. So the counselor
Okay.
position is not being cut.
But,
No, I understand that. I was just clarifying if the one at Woodland, that position, but the assistant principal is still being cut?
That's my recommendation.
Okay, because it sounds like a lot of the public doesn't want that either. What it looks like, just from emails and different things.
I forwarded that email to you, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still concerned about that too, but, And it sounds like, yeah, from what the public has been saying too, I don't think they want that position cut either.
Okay, thank you.
On the internship position at Woodland, I think it has to be made perfectly clear that even though it started off as a part-time position, that position had other responsibilities, which then created a full-time position. The actual job of the internship is a part-time position. That's very important to understand. We are not cutting the internship part of that job. Okay. Any other questions about anything in this budget?
And I'd just like to thank Michael and his team and the administrators. Michael, this budget reflects the additional $200 or some odd thousand dollars for the outplacements, right? as well?
Yes.
That was still a reduction.
Yep.
And we were able to keep the positions that were initially targeted for reduction, of course. You guys are doing a great job, so I'd like to thank you and your team.
And just to add also the contractual obligations that were already came in also.
Great job, Tony, you too.
All right, hearing none, we allow an hour for this, it's 7:15. Anybody want to take 5 minutes and then we'll come back for regular meeting? No? Okay, we'll just go on.
Nobody else has anything.
No,
All
there
right.
doesn't seem to be anybody else with questions,
Nope,
nothing you had written in?
nope.
Okay. Christine, it bothers me because you're a board member and you're very concerned about that position. And we discussed it a great deal, and then a few people that had called me, I called them back. And they seem to have been, accepting of what we're doing. So I don't know if you've had additional people call you this past week. I have not.
Not in the past week, but Michael just forwarded something to us that I was starting to,
That was from the teachers' union. They're gonna speak to it tonight, Christine, at the meeting. I offered them, since they were the union, I gave them the respect to call in and speak. I thought that was equitable. But I did
Okay.
forward it as they requested.
right, no, I was just referring to before the emails and the letters that were coming in support of keeping that position before, at the last meeting that we talked about. But then that, what you said from the union that just came through, I started to look at.
Yeah, I only got it tonight. If I got it earlier, I would have, Christine.
Mhm.
When I got it, I basically just would
And Christine, most of the mail I got was about the counselor and the internship program.
have. I think we-
I'm gonna say less than a handful mentioned the middle school vice principal position. It was mentioned in several of them, but certainly not a dominant concern based on the input I received.
Just for transparency, there was concern, there's no question about it, and there's always concerns with cuts. So I don't want to diminish the concern of the community. I'm just proposing what I think works best, and I'm a servant of the students, the staff, the community, and the board. And I'm just gonna put that forward. This is what I think is the best budget, and I don't take it personal. I actually welcome as much criticism as possible, because I think what that does is it helps you sort through what the conflicts and problems are gonna be later. As I got older, mind you, 25 years ago, I don't think I was as patient and understanding as I am now, but I think it does help.
And I think also that this board has a history of, if we made a decision and we find out that maybe we shouldn't have done that, we'll correct it. We'll go back and fix it. I don't think we're gonna have to go back and fix this one. I think we're okay with it based on the size of the middle school and the staff that we have available.
Okay, hearing nothing else?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Can I
Rob.
just make a comment on, just building on what you said, Rob? Is it possible that we can have perhaps Derek come here, maybe say 2 months into the start of the school year, and give us some feedback on what he's dealing with?
First month,
and if
I'm
he-
there the first month.
Well, give us some time to get settled,
Yeah.
it's first year back after COVID and everything else, but if we could have him come back and speak to what the day looks like, if he needs help or whatever.
Yeah.
So we can
Absolutely.
stay apprised of the situation.
Yeah, as Bob said, I agree 100%. If we make a decision that doesn't work, listen, our egos aren't that big. We're good with making changes. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Alrighty, we're gonna go to the regular Board of Ed meeting. So, can I have a motion for the approval of the March 10th regular Board of Ed meeting?
So,
Robert?
Robert,
Rob Dyer, second, Nazzy.
Nazzy, okay. Additions, corrections, subtractions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Are there any revisions or additions to this agenda, Michael, that I
No,
can see?
I just wanted to mention that we did cancel our April 7th meeting. Everyone should have gotten a copy, and we moved it to March 31st so we could have a quorum. It is a special meeting, so whatever's on the agenda has to be put on, which I'm doing. So we canceled our April 7th, and we have a special board meeting on March 31st at Woodland.
In person?
Yes, so that's going to be approved tonight, but yes.
Oh, okay,
That's all. It's not really an addition, just something different.
okay, very good. Alrighty, comments, is there anything else besides the budget on comments?
There were no town official comments, there were no budget comments. However, Tara Little and Michelle LaRusso, who are the presidents of the teachers union, sent me an email, and I invited them out of a courtesy to call in and read what they wanted to say. So, Tara, are you online?
I am.
All right, so you're welcome to read your email, but as you heard, I did forward it per your request, Tara.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Region 16 board members and Superintendent Comments. I'm asking you this evening to table the following agenda items. Act to approve opening all Region 16 schools 5 days per week of April 19th. Since the start of the current school year, district teachers have been expected to teach in unprecedented ways, requiring an extraordinary increase in the time necessary to provide the best possible education for our students. In normal, non-COVID school years, faculty members typically spend numerous hours per week outside of the school day to meet their professional obligations, including everything from adjusting curriculum, preparing lessons, providing student feedback, communicating with parents, students, and colleagues. But this year has been exceptionally difficult in ways that are not instantly obvious. Everyone understands that it takes time to comply with COVID-19 health and safety protocols and the time needed to address the social emotional needs of our children. But the change that has brought our faculty to the breaking point is the unexpected and dramatic increase in classroom teacher workload associated with simultaneous remote and in-person teaching. Simply put, dual mode teaching, where students are online at the same time the rest of the class is in front of you, creates an untenable and exhausting experience for everyone. It is not just turning on the laptop camera. Teacher workloads at home have doubled during the pandemic, and the pace of dual mode learning is not the same as we would normally expect. I would like to share with you a sample of our members' concerns. As we all know, since last March, teaching has been an even more demanding and stressful job than previously, especially with added concerns for the physical and emotional well-being of our students, colleagues, and ourselves. The importance and responsibility of teaching our students has been what has kept us going through this long and difficult year. Giving up or giving in has not been an option. We are very grateful that Region 16 took so many measures to ensure the health of its staff and students. Veteran teachers of 20-plus years have felt like beginning teachers again, learning new strategies, reflecting, and adjusting nonstop. Lessons, methods, and assessments have all had to be revamped. We are constantly reaching out to students at home to engage them in the learning and are holding office hour sessions to help reteach and even just make a connection with our students. Matt Brennan and Region 16's fantastic and hardworking technology department, plus EduTech, as well as the teachers' own hours of research and webinars, has made hybrid teaching manageable and the best it could be. I am amazed at the perseverance, the collaboration, the innovation, and even just the willingness to jump in and learn and try new things. Woodland has had to operate in a full hybrid while the lower levels have been able to return all students except the ones who have opted out fully. Please keep in mind while changes are being made that going to 5 days at the elementary and middle school levels does add an extra day and everything that goes with that adjustment. However, at the high school level, these changes additionally include not only the 5 days, but now another schedule change, as well as managing 4 different cohorts of students in and out while having to teach to an online class and a live class simultaneously. Some classes will even need to move to larger locations. We do agree 100% that having students in person in school is what is best academically and socially. I just ask that you keep in mind the added pressures and logistical efforts it will take to make this happen. Whether you have one distance learner or 10, whether it has been every day since the beginning of the year or just sporadic throughout, the preparation for these students takes above and beyond the typical amount of prep time. Even materials that have already been prepared from the past have to be converted to a PDF and scanned and uploaded. Classroom centers and workstations have had to be modified for students to remain socially distant. In many instances, new documents, Google Forms, and slides presentations have to be created to accommodate the students who are learning virtually. The learners at home need access to the charts and learning examples that are typically left on display in a classroom. So all these things need to be created digitally and posted for students to access later. We never know when a student or group of students will be placed in quarantine and learning online. So it is necessary to prepare for this each week. I would like to see a plan moving forward that values the time teachers have added to their workloads and shows support and respect for our teachers. In conclusion, we respectfully implore the Board of Education to table this motion until further discussions regarding the impact on increased teacher workload can take place. Thank you for listening. The Region 16 Education Association.
Thank you, Tara.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Priscilla, I'd like to reply to some of the union president's comments.
Okay.
All right, I just want to say a few things. Number one, we're talking about 6 Wednesdays, only 6 days. There's 7 weeks, and the last week's going to be a half a day of school for students for various reasons. So, we're talking about 6 Wednesdays. Number one, all Region 16 staff has received their first shot. Thus, it is 80.5% effective in preventing COVID, the Moderna shot. We in Region 16, as of right now, only have 1 staff member who's quarantined as a result of a contact. We don't have 1 staff member, certified or non-certified, out of close to 450 staff members that have COVID. And without question, are very proud of the efforts by Region 16, both certified and non-certified. However, I'm a little disappointed, and I disagree with the statement that the Board of Ed and the administration has not demonstrated respect or value for teachers. And let me cite a few examples. I mean, I honestly believe the leadership in this region isn't just leading by being in charge of people, but by taking care of those they're in charge of. And some of my examples are as follows. We in Region 16 allowed teachers to teach in school or from home. It was up to them where they taught, while the majority of our surrounding towns did not give them the option. We in Region 16 also allowed our staff to have parent conferences, different meetings and stuff, remote from home or in school, their decision, where other towns did not. We continue to allow staff to use FFRCA even when the governor's orders expired, and he didn't reissue that till after January. Yet our position in our HR department, through Tony and Lee, was if you were quarantined or got sick in school, we were still going to give you the FFRCA, even though Lamont's orders had expired. He didn't bring them back until January. We also in Region 16 supported teachers 100%. In fact, even though we didn't necessarily agree or decide to allow distance learners, we said to teachers, we agree their priorities are the student in front of them. If we didn't say 1,000 times with Tara and Michelle, the teachers, that we expect their priority to be in school, and we didn't expect them to plan any different for kids online. We understood the intrinsic concern for kids that weren't in school, yet we completely understood they didn't have to plan differently. I also would say we paid teachers Amazon gift cards to participate in webinars that we created, and I will not take any credit for it. James Amato, Deb Flaherty, over the summer, we knew coming in, and we give them $50 Amazon gift cards to participate in webinars because we knew they needed new learning to be successful this year. And finally, I can go above and above about different types of way we supported and respected our staff, not simply through verbiage, but through examples. You know, at the end of the day, I just had our parent advisory committee, which is the PTO parents and other parents that participate. They're 100% in favor of going back to school. I have emails from parents weekly about getting kids back in fully. Finally, what I would say is, the benefits of having students return to school to full-time and support a transition to some type of normalcy, and the ability for students to interact with friends and participate in activities cannot be hindered because of morning and afternoon coverage, governor's executive orders to allow distance learners, or our own need to change or to our practice to meet the education environment we're all faced with that we didn't create. One of our Region 16 administrators said it best today. We had a meeting today, and they said, students really need to be in person regularly. We feel it is worth it. The time also gives elementary students, staff, and families the opportunity to reacclimate to a full schedule. Logistical issues can be worked out. We can provide insight on how to create the best learning environment heading into next year. High school students who haven't seen their friends because of their name in the alphabet from 2 days a week now can begin to go 3 or 4 days a week. Being in class makes a big difference on many levels. It's only 6 Wednesdays we're talking about here. So that's my response, and I say it with sincerity. I don't say it personally as though it's against me or against the board, but I really think we have to think about how this board did support everybody and what we've done differently. Those are really just my comments. Thank you for listening.
Any other comments by board members?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. You know, I support the teachers 110% and always have, and people know my past history being the teacher union president and CEA member and all of that over the years. And the change has brought about change in teaching, yes. Well, a teaching career was never meant to be what you did your first year, you did again your second year, you did again your third year, and so forth. Change is good. And I do believe that the kids need to come back to school. And I would also say my first reaction when I read the email from you guys today, and I read it a couple of times because I respect your input. My first reaction was to say to Michael, what can the administrators do with input from the teachers for the next 3 weeks to soften the transition? Are there things that we can still do that the teachers might be suggesting to us that will help with the transition back to full-time and back to bringing the kids back? They're in the trenches. We always listen to them. So we still have to table this. We're going to table it to the next meeting. We have parents that are urging us to send the kids back to school, and I support that. So I think it's time to move forward. And I would offer to the teachers that the fact that we will continue to listen to you. We have gone above and beyond what many districts in the state of Connecticut have done. And I know that for a fact because I still continue to have contact with many teacher union leaders across the state. So I know you take direction sometimes from the state and from your local people as well, but I think that this board has really gone above and beyond for the staff.
Just one thing, Bob, I do have a meeting with Tara and Michelle at 8:30 scheduled to talk about
Right,
the
okay.
concerns, and we have questions. That's already been scheduled prior to today.
That was going to be my first question is, let's ask the teachers, how can we facilitate this coming back for the change? I believe the change is necessary, and I believe they need to be involved in the process. And if there are accommodations that we can continue to make this transition easier for staff to give the best education to the kids, then we should do it. If there are things that we've required them to do in the past that maybe they don't have to do this year at the end of the year. And I don't have a list of things or an example to give, but if they can offer ways to make this transition easier, then I respect their input as we move forward. But I do believe that the students need to be back in school. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I don't know if you're going to talk about this later, but you said the high school will be going back 5 days too?
Well, I'll get into that. We're working on a plan. I emailed it to you actually, Christine. It's a schedule where kids will be in 4 days out of 6. It goes from 2 cohorts to 4.
Okay, so they'll still be able to distance, because the kids won't have the shots.
Kids that are distance learners will continue to be distance learners. But Christine, I won't hang my hat on shots for kids, because if we go back in September, kids under 16 aren't gonna have shots.
Right.
So I wouldn't even bring that into the conversation respectfully.
No, that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about that you've been saying all year that they can't socially distance at the high school, but how is that gonna be different?
Because we're bringing back 75% of the kids, not 100%. And the students are gonna be 3 feet apart, which is the new guidance, and I also emailed to everyone today. Guidance is 3 feet, not 6 feet.
Okay.
Robert, do you have anything to say?
No, I'm good.
Okay, nothing?
I'm good.
Okay. I did not hear or see this until, correspondence until tonight. And I listened to it, tried to listen to it carefully. I guess I'm a little disappointed. You all are employed to teach children, whether it's as a resource, directly. We as a board are here, we are elected to teach children. On anything, whether it's ABC, NBC, CBS, any type of social work, anyone I have talked to in the last 6 weeks has encouraged kids back in school. Our job is to do the best for the students, and we are trying very hard. And one of those ways is putting the children back in the classroom. And I will stand behind that 100%. Thank you. Okay, no other comments? Correspondence?
There's just 2 updates that are in your packet.
They're in the packet.
Yep.
Okay, treasurer's report, nothing?
Balance of the general fund as of today is $5,584,321.69. Tonight's invoice is total $547,237.14. General fund, $528,394.85. Federal and state grants, 0. Adult ed, other grants, athletic fund, $292.57. Capital non-recurring project, $18,549.72.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, student reps, do we have Gavin or Kaylee online?
Yeah, Kaylee should be on. Are you on, Kaylee?
I am here, thank you.
Hi, Kaylee, thank you
Hi,
for
gonna
joining.
talk to us?
Thank you. So we have a report from the World Language Department. The senior world language students will test for the CP seal of biliteracy throughout the month of April. Ms. Santos and Mrs. Athan are exploring options for the World Language Honor Society induction for this year. From class council, they met last Friday to discuss plans for redecorating the Woodland cafeteria. That will include class banners and time capsules for each class.
That's fun.
From Senate, we are working on many exciting projects for the student body while keeping COVID regulations in mind. One of the things that we have in the works is a color run in April for autism awareness. And then I know last time you asked about the compassion contract, so I found a little more out about that.
Great.
So the compassion contract was created by Citizen Discourse, and it has the goal of improving our social environment. Basically, it encourages people to be respectful, understanding, and critical thinkers. The Senate believes that this aligns with the school/district's beliefs. So we think it's perfect to make the school's environment even better, and we will be asking students to sign the contract to promote compassion.
I think that also aligns to the new pillars with NEASC. Is it NEASC or the graduation criteria?
Pillars are part of the portrait of graduate.
Portrait of a graduate, yeah, that's great. Thank you for bringing that back to our attention.
Oh yeah, perfect, of course. And then the last thing is from our Treasury Secretary. We just passed the semester 2 budget within Senate.
Great.
That's all, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for joining us, Kaylee.
Can I,
Questions?
through
Go
the
ahead.
chair, if I have a
Go ahead.
second? So Kaylee, I'm just curious, what's your opinion on going back to school more frequently in person?
Great question.
I know that a lot of students are actually opposed to going back in person, especially if we end up getting rid of the half-day distance learning Wednesday. I do know some people that like the idea, but the majority that I've talked to are not in favor of it.
Okay,
Interesting.
yeah, thank you.
The school kids, they like the they like the high school kids, thank you.
And Dr. Lee,
Just, the math team had a great, part of the math team, we wanted to recognize them for competing. They did a wonderful job. I read their names last week, and we sent them a certificate. And also, Kurt had sent over to me the Connect Association Schools High School Art Award winners from Woodland, Anna Canis, and Wellesley Billinger. We wanted to recognize them and congratulate them. And we sent them certificates as well.
thank you. Any of your report?
Yep, I got a couple add-ins. So the reopening committee did meet Tuesday the 23rd. It was positive. I also received a letter of different concerns from Michelle and Tara that I tried to answer today to the best of my ability, and we will be going through that tomorrow, as Bob said, so I scheduled a Google Meet, hopefully alleviate some of the concerns that some of the teachers may have, and I think we had answers to most of them, so I'm pretty comfortable. Our plan is for pre-K-8 to go back 100%, 5 days a week, full days. The Woodland population, as Christina had said, I emailed you a sample. We had gotten this, I think, from New Canaan. Robert had actually forwarded it a while ago, and it was a great template. So what we're looking at is breaking the kids up into groups, 4 different cohorts, which would mean we'd be able to increase the number of kids, 75% of our population a day, because we'll be able to adhere to the 3 feet social distancing. Some of the preliminary ideas, we need to cover morning and afternoon supervision. We had met with Michelle Rayner. I actually asked to go and meet with Sheila Brennan and Colleen Enzo for non-certified staff, where we're going to pay our non-certified staff to come in for an additional hour a day to help cover with morning and afternoon supervision, so we can keep our kindergarten and our first graders in the classroom to eliminate the amount of kids that are in our common areas. We still don't want to, and Sher Mashad put it perfectly today at Principal Advisory, COVID isn't gone, all right, and it's still a concern. So social distancing, wearing masks, being careful is still a priority. However, being in school is something we think at this point we could do. If you look at the governor's March reissuing of executive orders, he's increased the number of people that can be in areas and some of that stuff. So that's one of our ideas. We're hoping on April 19th we can move to increasing the number of students and the number of days at the high school and going back 5 days full-time with our kids in our pre-K-8s. That'll be for April 19th. I'm also requesting that the last week of school, June 7th to the 11th, are going to be half-days. The reason for that is we need to allow students a grace period to turn in assignments or revise work that may have been affected from remote learning. Consider multiple ways of assessing students if there's concerns with their knowledge, not their participation. If that's been good, we know there's been gaps in instruction and day, so that half day we think is a good thing. We also would like to provide time in the afternoons for teachers to have conferences or individual meetings with students. So I think what I'm going to request is when we approve the action item for opening all Region 16 schools 5 days a week per week of April 19th, that there's still some superintendent discretion if I have to call a remote learning day or have a half day as we're evaluating what's going on in our schools. I mean, we want to be flexible. We've waived any student with a 90 or higher to have a final. We waived that at the high school, which I think is good. We waived some of the community service hours early on. So being flexible and agreeing. Just another thing as well, that last week of school, which will be a half week, teachers will be able to leave, do it from home or in school in the afternoon, but they have to be available for kids for conferences or to have kids do makeup work and stuff. So that's kind of where we are. Also, another update is at our next board meeting on the 31st, I'm going to ask the board to set graduation dates. Long River for the 9th and Woodland for the 11th. Right now there's a cap on indoor, but outdoor we could have the entire student body with 2 tickets for the family, so we're gonna look at planning outside graduations for kids. You know, but we'll figure out the actually parameters of what we could put in place. Those are my updates, basically, Priscilla. Any questions on that, and then we'll get into the ESSER funds that Tony's gonna talk about?
Just a comment, the fact that you're recommending half days for a full week at the end of the year is not the norm around the state of Connecticut, to allow staff to clean things up and students to clean things up.
Well, I think it's an unusual year.
It's just, I support it, because I think it's the right thing to do for our staff and students.
Thank you, Ben. Anyone online that has a question or a comment, board?
Nope.
Thank you, Ben. Tony, want to talk a little about the ESSER fund? We talked about it last time, about what we've gotten so far and what we anticipate getting and where we are with it.
Yep. So just for clarity, first of all, there are basically 3 rounds of funding that are being referred to as ESSER funding. There's ESSER 1, which we received back, I want to say September, October, which was in the amount of $175,030. We're now talking about ESSER 2, and then there's ESSER 3, which is also referred to as the American Rescue Plan ESSER funds. I have no clarification yet from the state as to what the ARP or American Rescue Plan ESSER funds can be used for. So we are talking about ESSER 2 right now. ESSER 2, Region 16 was awarded $332,654, and that funding is intended to cover through the end of this fiscal year as well as next fiscal year. Our plan at this moment is to use approximately $15,000 of that money to cover some special education additional supports that were needed for some students, $80,000 to cover salaries, which were the 3 teachers that were hired this year due to the pandemic, and $138,000 to fund some technology purchases, Chromebooks, things like that, where the one-to-one programs were kind of forced upon the lower grades. And our intent is to hold over approximately $100,000 into next fiscal year, so we can kind of see how the cards play out and what we need to allocate the funding for at that point.
When you say next fiscal year, 21, 22?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay.
We're able to carry over amount, and we kind of want to keep it, because who knows what we may be faced
I
with.
just want to make sure we're in the
Yeah,
we're in the right
so we
year.
thought 100,000 gives us a little cushion if we have to hire a teacher, if we have to do something with technology, if we need something for COVID, we just felt it was good to save 100,000 of that.
Or we find out we need to rehire a
Correct.
position.
Correct. And then the 800,000, you know, so I think it's responsible budgeting. Thank you, Tony. Mark, are you on? Mark's on, right, Karina?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. So Mark, you just want to summarize what you have? I think you've done a great job with the facilities report.
Sure. So basically, what I put together is a report that the facilities committee, the board will see. I'd like to be able to do it on a monthly basis to give the breakdown of the current work that we're doing, any capital projects, any future goals, training that's ongoing with staff, any hiring, termination, just to give a good round about knowledge base on what's happening in facilities for our schools in Region 16.
And I think it's great. I like the pictures, I like the graphs, I like where we are and where we're going. It's something new to this region, and I think you've brought in a great deal of professionalism and efficiency, Mark. I like it. Robert is chair. Anything? What do you think?
No, I mean, I would like to have a facilities, I appreciate the monthly updates, I think they're thorough. I really, really appreciate the pictures, to give a view of a lot of the things and projects that we're talking about. I think it gives us a different perspective, especially not being able to go into the buildings. But I would like to have an update, if possible, for the next, not the proposed March 31st one, but the next
Maybe
regular.
April
The
2nd.
next regular meeting, so we can talk about what projects are on the roadmap for the summer and all of that.
So Mark, we'll schedule a facilities meeting in April. I think it's probably 14, I think we have April 30. We have another meeting already the 7th in April.
7th would have been our meeting.
So it won't be the 14th, the 21st, so it'll be the 21st. We'll schedule for the 21st. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
And I I'll reach out to you, Rob, ahead of time to kind of give you an update ahead of the meeting, just so you know where I'm headed.
Okay.
Mark,
Okay,
Priscilla has a
curious
question.
Curious question, I know, the pool equipment and the needs of the pool at Woodland have been mentioned. Will you have a further report on approximately how much money it is and what the repairs will be?
Yes, I hope to have that by the next meeting. I'm just waiting on some numbers for the second contractor that we brought in, which is the only other contractor in the state that has the ability to work on our side of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome.
So I walked with Mark, the 17th, last Friday. We walked the pool, we went through it. We will be coming to the board to waive the bid, the formal bid, because there's only 2 companies in the state that do this work, and we have quotes from both of them. We don't know any of them. We were able to call them, we cold called them. They're the only 2 that does the work on this specific system. So we'll have 2 quotes for the board within the next month or 2, and we will be able to bring that to the board's attention.
Michael, is it the size of the system, or is it the manufacturer?
It's the type of system and the size of the system. So one, it's almost 200 linear feet. And what it is they have, it's like it's like a gutter on a house. Imagine the gutter on your house.
Mhm.
So the gutter on your house, imagine, let's say it's 100 linear feet. There's 2 pieces of metal welded on the side of the pool and the ends of the pool, and it sits, the gutter, in these welded edges that are flush with the tile, the pool tile, which is the pool deck. It's made out of like a fiberglass plastic. And what has happened is it's cracked and broken down in the last 20 years. So you have to figure out how to take that out, put new lentils in to almost weld it so that you could have another catch basin, it's a catch basin, that the water flows into and drains into the system. It's very unique, and there's only 2 companies that will do that type of work. And that's why we're gonna be a victim of whatever the best price is.
Over a barrel.
Yeah, there's no other way to do it. It's unique. That's it for my updates. Just one more thing too. I talked to everybody about the driver shortage a couple months ago. We've had 4 incidents to date about it. And we have a couple drivers that don't come in, so we do combine buses, and it's been happening, but we've been addressing it by combining some buses. Hasn't been a concern from the community, or something we talked about 2 months ago, and this isn't a Region 16 issue, this is a statewide issue, bus shortages.
And that's gonna be one of my questions, is how is the combination of the buses?
Have had no concerns.
Or delays or anything?
No concerns, but with substitute drivers, we do miss a stop here and there. And you're not gonna fire a driver, obviously, because we don't have enough as it is.
Right. Okay, action items. A motion to approve the opening of all Region 16 schools 5 days per week, starting the week of April 19th.
Under superintendent discretion, too, I think, so I could call days if I need to.
Under superintendent discussion.
Discretion.
I'm sorry, discretion.
I'll make that motion, Rob Dyer.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Yeah, I had a question for, I don't know, Kurt or Dana or Ryan, just to make sure that, looking at the 10-day span basically, where you have, for example, cohort 1, 7 days in school, 5 A days in person, 2 B days in person. I'm assuming that after the 10 days, it kind of rotates back so it's even.
Kurt, is there equity with groups?
Yeah, so Nazi, there's definitely equity. Basically, with the 4 cohorts, the simple way I think to explain it is on day 1, you have cohort 1, 2, and 3 will be present, and 4 will be home learning remotely. Then on day 2, it shifts, and it's cohort 2, 3, and 4 will be present, and 1 stays home. So as you rotate through, some folks are in school 4 days a week, whereas one group will be there 3 days a week. And so it catches up. By the end of the year, it's only off by 1 day. So some groups, it's only that last 6 or 7 weeks. It'll be 1 day difference for
So you gotta get to 20 days for it to even out, yeah.
Great.
You will have one group 1 day just because of the way it ends.
Yeah, 1 day is not,
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that. case.
So it is equitable.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Sure.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Um,
Yeah, Christine?
yes.
Okay. Ben?
Aye.
Okay.
All right.
And Roxy said-
Roxy? Said yes. Okay. All right, so that is unanimous. After you have an in-person meeting for the Board of Ed April format.
It should be March, we moved that April date.
That's right, March 31st.
So to have all,
So we'll say the
basically,
March 31st.
have to have all in-person Board of Ed meetings forward.
Have to have all, starting with the March 31st meeting.
Yes, correct.
I'll make that motion.
Kelly, do you have the change?
Yes.
Okay. Bob making the motion, second by
I'll second.
Nazzy. Discussion?
I have a question. How come we're moving it to all in person as of the 31st?
Because we're having the students starting to come in, and this is going to be a regional meeting. And at that point, we should all be working as the kids are and going in person.
As well as the governor's new executive orders allows up to 100 people in a meeting, public or private event. So, you know, as things change statewide, I think we as a board should do it as well. The town of Beacon Falls just started their in-person meetings as well next week.
Okay, because the kids are coming back in April, but you're talking about as of the 31st.
Correct, because that's our regional meeting.
And we don't meet again until the end of April.
And that's, and remember, we meet there for the budget, of course, and because it is the two towns, this year it happens to be at the auditorium at the high school, which can definitely handle that crowd.
And then after that, our next meeting
Oh,
is
is
Robert
that the one that you
Gonzalez.
moved from April 7th, so you moved it back to the
Right.
31st?
Yeah, that was moved to the 31st.
All right, no, that makes sense. I forgot that that's the one. I was thinking it would move forward, but it's, you moved it back. Okay. that's
Christine,
fine.
the other
because
thing
we
is
needed
Robert
quorum.
Dwyer, Bob just brought up the fact that the meeting after that is April 21st anyway. So it's a March 31st meeting, then it's an April, no,
24th.
April
24th.
24th.
24th,
21st.
21st.
Okay. All right, that's all I had.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Tony?
As you all may recall, we were working on a frontline time and attendance implementation right before the pandemic hit. Frontline's implementation group shut down, and we were all working remotely, which made the implementation a little bit difficult. We have resumed working on that. However, for the time being, due to the pandemic, we are leaving the fingerprint scanners out of the mix. People will clock in and out using their computer rather than a fingerprint scanner. Anthem has lowered our 2021 to 2022 renewal, which is reflected in the budget documents. We continue to push for a reduction, but the budget documents reflect where we are right now. At the last meeting, we did discuss that Region 16 has been allocated $826,223 in the ARP ESSER fund. I have no communication as to what that funding may be used for at that point, so we're not looking to allocate anything right now, just informational. And finally, Mark Reno and I have issued new RFPs for landscaping and pest control as those contracts have expired.
Alrighty, whole business. Do we have any? No. New business. Anything come before the board now?
I have one thing.
Go ahead, Ben.
As some of you may know, I'm a member of the Beacon Falls Lions Club. The club asked me to bring this up to a board, and we don't need a decision anytime soon, but I just want to put on the radar that the Lions Club is interested in rededicating with the snack shop at the on the field in memory of Lawrence Hutwagner, who was really instrumental in getting some of that launched.
What,
So-
Ben, hold on. Snapshot of a field, I don't
You
understand.
said snack shack.
Oh, snack shacks, thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there a name on it now?
That would have been before I joined the club, so I am not sure.
I know we have a policy on naming fields and everything, we'd have to look at that, Ben.
I just want to put on the radar, and if there's something that we can talk about, great. If not, then at least we know. So
Ben, I'll pull the policy for you for the next board meeting and see what it says.
appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem, thank you.
Any other new business? Any other items for the next agenda? Outside of facilities, I didn't have anything else. Okay, information items, committee reports. We have UPSU negotiation Monday at 5 p.m. here in district office. Anyone have anything else from their committee?
Facilities are gonna have a meeting on April 21st.
April 21st? April 21, what time?
I don't think we need a lot of time.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock,
Okay.
yeah, 6:15.
Okay. Curriculum is May 12th,
The second meeting in May will be policy.
second meeting in May will be policy.
26th, I guess. So we may need some time there, we'll do a 5:45 or so.
Okay, 5:45.
So, I assume there'll be a lot of
One of those
policies.
dry meetings, you know.
It's tough. They're complicated. Oh, recognition committee. April 29th, we're gonna have a little awards dinner for our students, superintendent's awards at Jesse Camille's. We have a menu. If any board members would like to come, please let me know, myself or
What's the
Lori.
date?
It's the 29th. It's a luncheon at 12. It's usually done with all the school districts, like 30 of us. It's a big event, but this year we're doing them individually within our own region.
March 29th, right?
April
No,
29th.
April 29th.
Yep, 12 o'clock, Jesse Camille's. If you would like to come, please let me know. Let Lori know, please.
Any liaisons? I don't think so. Parent advisory was today.
Yep, we'll admit it to the next meeting.
Is there anything else to come before this board?
Just on that last item, adjournment, change that April 7th to March 31st, please.
Change that to April 21st?
May most
March 31st,
31st, I think they next week.
But that's not the next meeting, that's the public hearing.
same thing. It's our next meeting and our public hearing.
Okay, well, it says public hearing.
Yep,
Okay,
So the agenda for that meeting is
I have
the
it
public
already.
hearing and set the budget.
Yep,
And decide on,
yep, I have all that in there.
Okay.
It's the same template, you gotta
you would
get it.
decide on referendum versus district meeting at that meeting.
Correct.
31st.
Yep, same agenda we used year after year. Me and Lori went through it today. Only tomorrow we'll send a notice out for the newspaper. Around board.
okay. Bob, if you wanted to discuss it under new business, you could.
Well, it'll be discussed at the next board meeting.
I understand, but if he wants to put it in this minutes, he could put it under new business. You want to, Bob?
No,
Okay, then that's
We'll
fine.
vote that day, we can decide what we want to do that day, just lay it out on the table. That's
Sure.
traditionally when we make the decision.
Yes, it is.
So,
Okay, hearing nothing else, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Robert and Nazzy?
Second, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone up there on the board.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone, be well.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
I'm gonna find an answer to the question. Whether it's voted against one person.
No, she voted for it.
She voted for it.
Nobody
Nobody
voted.
voted.
She just kept saying her yays late.
Oh, okay, I thought it was.
You have been removed from the call.
I'm meeting with Jessica tomorrow.
Goodbye.
I wanted to meet her after I met with
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
What,
Matt, are we down?
Yeah, you're down.
what gave,